what is up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Maddie. I'm a K-5 STEM teacher and ed tech coach from Los Angeles. I post weekly tech tutorials for teachers, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing the CoderZ Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge. CoderZ is an online gamified platform that makes it easy to learn and teach coding and robotics. CoderZ is all about increasing access to STEM and computer science education. If you listen to my podcast, you already know this. I am a big fan of project-based learning and bringing authenticity into the classroom. CoderZ is the perfect example of 21st century learning, and I'm so excited to be sharing their Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge in today's video. The Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge is a free 3-hour virtual learning experience for students to learn the basics of computer science while also uncovering how Amazon uses computer science and robotics daily to deliver customer goods. The Cyber Robotics Challenge is great for upper elementary students and older, and I love that it has so much real-world application for students. CoderZ makes it easy to teach high-quality computer science curriculum, whether you're a longtime coding teacher or you're just getting started. CoderZ offers materials that make teachers feel supported enough to teach with CoderZ without even having experience teaching computer science. In this video, I am going to be sharing some of those amazing resources from CoderZ, so be sure to bookmark this video so that you can come back and make sure that you feel supported with every step. And by the way, big thank you to CoderZ for sponsoring today's video. If you want to get started and register or sign up for the Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge, be sure to click the link in the video description down below. So we are on the CoderZ website, and specifically we are on the registration page for the Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge. So I'm going to walk you guys through how you can create an account. So what you'll want to do is you will want to add your first and last name to sign up to create a free account. I love that the Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge is completely free. STEM and computer science, a huge misconception about it is that it's really expensive, but CoderZ makes it accessible, and that's something that I think is so incredible, and I love that this program is free. So what you'll do is you'll want to add your first and your last name, your email, your state, your city, your zip code. You can add your school information. You can also indicate what grade levels you teach. And then when you're ready, you'll go ahead and click the button at the bottom that says sign up. So now that we've created our account, you'll see that this is our dashboard here. So this is the teacher dashboard that we're looking at. The first thing we're going to want to do before we take a look at the teacher's guide is we're going to want to go over here to the left-hand side and click on the button that says My Classes. The first step for us is to actually create a class. So I'll go ahead and click on this big blue button that says Create Your First Class. So now I'll give my class a name. So I'm going to just title it Ed Tech Classroom Class. I can add a description if I'd like, and then I can press the Next button. So the first thing I'll want to do is I'll want to click on the course, and I can choose my progress type here. Now the progress type is really up to you as the teacher. If you want to start off with all of the packs or all of the puzzles open, you'll want to make sure that this first option is selected here. Now if you want it to be pack by pack, you would need to select this one, set by set or manual. That's really up to you as the teacher. As we get through this video, you'll probably have a better understanding as to what progress type you would like based off of your classroom needs. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on the Next button, and you'll see that I've been given this link here or a class code that students can use to join my class. Now there's two different ways that I can invite students to join. I can share them with this join link at the very top here or using this class code, and that link they can use to join my class. Or I can invite students via email. Now because my upper elementary school students don't have email addresses, I'm just going to want to go ahead and use this class code here, and I can share this link with students. Now I can share this link through my learning management system, I can share it through Google Classroom, Seesaw, however you normally share digital activities with students. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way and just write this class code up on the board. When I'm ready, I'll go ahead and click the Done button. So now you'll see my class has no students yet. That's because I haven't actually shared that link with students yet. So now that we've set up our class initially, even though we don't have students in it, it's time for us to take a look at the teacher guide. So we'll go back over here to the left-hand side and we'll click on the button that says Learning Center. This Learning Center is going to be the hub for you as the teacher to access this teacher's guide. The teacher guide is really helpful for you as the teacher to better understand how you can access this curriculum and really maximize its use in your classroom. So I'll go ahead and click on the teacher guide, and you'll see that it has these 4 different sections here. On the left-hand side, we have the Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge Level 1, all the way to Level 3, and then the bonus game is the very last one. So first, I'm going to go ahead and click on the Level 1. Level 1 of the Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge is all about teaching and building a foundation of knowledge in motion planning, repeat loops, computational thinking, and code efficiency. So when we open up this activity, you'll notice that a video immediately starts playing. Now this is a video that you're going to want to watch together with your students. So it's a video that's meant for students to be able to see. I really love this welcome video. We'll watch a clip together right now, but I think that it's just a really great way to introduce students to the Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge and to get them really excited about this coding journey that they're about to go on.
Robotics exposed me to the power of what robots can do. But it wasn't until now that I really understood how computer science is used in big industries to make life better for us all.
And that's why we are here today to introduce you to our first ever Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge. As you may have heard, Amazon uses computer science and robotics to get people their products fast. And this matters because if you're like me, sometimes you may forget to order your friend a birthday present in time.
Now, once you've watched this video with students, you can go ahead and click on the blue button that says Next Activity. When I click on Next Activity, it opens up another video here that gets into a little bit more detail about getting started with the Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge. So we're not going to watch this video together because I'm going to be explaining a lot of this stuff as we proceed to the next activity, but basically this video gives you a little bit more information about how the coding platform actually works. So now we'll go ahead and click on the next button that says Next Activity, and it takes us to our very first mission. So I want to talk about what this looks like. So right now what we're looking at is what the students are also going to be looking at. So what I like about CoderZ is that the teacher perspective is pretty similar to the student perspective. This right here, what you see on my screen, is exactly what students are going to be able to see. So I like that you are able to model for students how to use this platform. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in this video. So I recommend, if you like the way that I explain things, you're welcome to use my similar language. I'm really comfortable teaching coding, and so if you do like the language that I use, feel free to borrow it and use it when you're teaching this with your students. So on the left-hand side here, this is going to be our workspace. So this black area here is going to be our coding workspace, and that's where students are going to be dragging and dropping to create their code. On the right-hand side, that's the gamified aspect of this platform. So that's going to be what students are actually coding. So you'll notice that that blue object right there is the robot that we are actually programming using the code in the workspace on the left-hand side. So our screen is basically divided up into 2 sections. We have the workspace and then the gamified robotics portion on the right-hand side. A few other things I want to point out. You'll notice that with this very first puzzle, this very first mission, there is already a block that's in the middle of this workspace for us that says drive 1 step. Our objective with this puzzle is to drive the blue robot to this pod here. So what we want to do is we probably want to move forward or drive 1 step. So what students can do is they can click on this block here, they can drag and drop it. You'll notice it locks together like a puzzle piece and becomes blue. That's how you know that your code is connected. And so right now our code says program start, drive 1 step, and then we have an up arrow indicating that we're going to move forward. So when I'm ready, if I think my code looks good, I can go ahead and press this play button here, and that's going to be the button that you use to run your simulation. So when I click play, you'll see that my puzzle has been completed and I successfully completed the mission. So now I can go ahead and press the next activity button, the blue button, to move forward to the next activity. Now for mission number 2. So this one here is pretty similar to mission number 1, except you'll notice that the pod is just a little bit farther away. So right now our program says program start, meaning when we click the play button or the program begins, we're going to drive forward 1 step. Now with this puzzle, we're not going to need to drive forward just 1 step, but we're going to need to drive forward 2 steps. So we'll need to grab another block. Now on the left-hand side, there are 3 different categories. We have movement, control flow, and data. Because we want to move or drive, I know that I want to look for a block that's under that movement category. Another way that I can tell that I'm looking for that drive 1 step block under movement is that drive 1 step is blue and the movement category is also blue. So I'll click on movement and then I can drag and drop this block that says drive 1 step. And now when I'm ready, I can go ahead and press the play button. Now I just received an error message when I pressed play. So you'll see that I have that flashing red, and at the very bottom it says there's a compilation failure, direction is required. So now it's time for me to do some problem solving and figure out how to debug my code. So right now my code says program start, drive 1 step up, drive 1 step. Now this red flashing indicates that I'm missing a block right there. And what I'm missing is I'm missing that direction block. So now I need to find that direction block, that move forward, that up arrow block to attach to my code. Because it's purple, I know that I'm going to want to look under that data section here. And I can find the direction that I'm looking for, just drag and drop, I just release, and it locks together like a puzzle piece. And when I'm ready, I can go ahead and click that run button, that play button, to run my code. All right, now we'll do one more mission under this level before we move on to the next level. So this one here, you'll see, is pretty similar, except that I now need to actually run through that pod. So you can actually run underneath a pod in this instance, so I don't need to travel around it. That is a pop-up message that you'll receive when you are doing this activity for the first time. Because I've already played around with this a little bit, I've already received that pop-up message, but if you want to find it again, you can press this tip button, and it tells you that you need to get the robot to the target. And it says that the robot can drive underneath the pod, it doesn't need to drive around it. So that is the tip that I saw earlier that I was talking about. Now for students, it's important to remind them that they can click on that light bulb at the very top to get helpful tips if they feel like they're stuck. So the tips are there to help guide students, to help encourage them to problem solve and give them that little push that they might need. So I'll go ahead and just exit out. Now you'll notice so far what we've done is we've talked about these categories on the left-hand side, movement, control flow, data. We've talked about our workspace on the left-hand side, and we've also talked about the game on the right-hand side, what we're programming on the right. A few buttons I do want to continue to mention and point out. This top bar here, there's a bunch of buttons. Most likely, you as the teacher are not going to be using all of these. Your students are most likely not going to be using all of them, but I do want to point them out. So the top left one is the save button if you would like to save your code. This play button is the run button like we noticed. We have this back arrow that means undo, this forward arrow that means redo. A few more to point out. This one right here is to export Blockly. So Blockly is a coding language. It's the one that you see here, this block-based coding language. If you would like to export the code, you can do that by clicking this export button, or you can import code as well by clicking the import button. Most likely, you're probably not going to be using those, but I did want to point that out in case that's interesting to you as the teacher. All right, so now I'm going to create my code. So I'll go to that movement. I want to drag and drop this block, add the arrow. So I'm just walking through this exact same step. So instead, last time we only moved forward twice. It looks like this time we're going to want to move forward 4 times. So I'll just finish up my code here, and then when I'm ready to go, I'll press that play button to run and make sure that my code runs correctly. And it did, which is awesome. So as students are doing this, they'll want to click on the next activity button, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to go back to the Learning Center so we can take a look at another level. So I'll click on Learning Center, and then I'm going to want to go back to Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge. That's the course that we're a part of right now. In Level 2, students will dive more deeply into code efficiency, building upon what they learned in Level 1 while also comparing and refining algorithms. And then I'll click on Level 2. Now you'll see that we already have some green here. That's because I worked through some of these puzzles earlier just to get a sense before I started creating this video. But I'll go ahead and click on that here, and I'll click on the very first puzzle to get started, and we have another video. This video is really interesting. It's all about the Amazon Fulfillment Center. This is another video that you would want to watch with your students before they begin doing this coding activity. Now, if students are working at different paces, if you're, some students are on Level 1 still, some are on Level 2, you can have this be self-guided where students watch these videos on their own. But I personally like to watch these videos as a whole class because I think it's a really great learning opportunity for students to then ask questions and engage with each other and talk to each other. So I'll go ahead and click this next activity button to go to the next activity. Of course, there's another short video that gives you some more explanation and information about how the coding is going to work in this part of the challenge. So I'll click next activity because I already know what happens. You guys can watch that. I'm going to explain everything right now. And so here you'll see that we have our code. Now, for you will receive a pop-up notification. Now, like I said, I've already tried this out a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the tip button to get that pop-up to start up. But because you haven't done this yet, the first time you see it and the first time your students see it, there will be a really big pop-up notification that takes up the screen that will tell you what we need to do. So basically what we need to do is we need to deliver the order to the station. Lift instructions are found in the movement category. So in order to lift the object that we're trying to move, you're going to do that in the movement category. In this instance, it's a watch. Add additional movement instructions to the program. All right. So right now, we already have some coding blocks that have been put here for us. So it says program start, repeat 0 times, move lift up, repeat 0 times, move lift down. So what we need to figure out how to do is we need to figure out how to get our robot to the pod. It needs to grab the object and then deliver it to that flashing yellow space on the left-hand side of the game section. So the first step is I'm going to want to move forward to the pod so that I can grab the object. So I'll go to this movement button and I'm going to want to drive 1 step, and I'll put it within this repeat block. So if you've never used drag and drop coding languages, this block-based coding, basically a repeat block means that you're going to do something inside of a repeat block however many times you indicate you need to do it. So for example, if I say I want to change this to 2, now our code says that we are going to drive 1 step 2 times, or we're going to drive 1 step twice. So what I can do is, because I like to break this step by step, I kind of like to take my time when I'm coding. I don't always encourage students to create the whole puzzle. I often recommend that they break things down step by step. I think that's really great for problem solving, helping students really work through these puzzles and persevere through them. So I'm going to click the run button just to see what happens. And you'll notice I've made a mistake. There's a bug in my code. Now this is a mistake that I made in a previous puzzle, so I already know what I need to do. It says I need to drive 1 step, but I didn't indicate which direction. So I'm going to go over here to the data button, and I'm going to choose the direction. I'm going to drag and drop, and then I'll press the run button to now see what happens. So I'm going to move forward twice. So I'm now inside of the pod, and it says I'm going to move lift up. All right, so I did not finish my mission, obviously, because I didn't finish my code. So I need to make some adjustments to my code and try again. So I'll go ahead and press the try again button. Let's take a look and see what we think we need to do next. So once we move the lift up, we're gonna want to move to the left twice. So I'm gonna change this movement. I'm gonna wanna drive 1 step, and I'm gonna wanna put it inside the next repeat block. I'm gonna change that 2 times because we wanna move to the left twice. And then I also need to indicate my direction, which again is left. So now let's run our code and see what happens. So we're gonna move forward twice, we're gonna move the lift up, and then we're going to move left twice. And so we've successfully fulfilled this order within the time allotted. And so it gives you this little simulation here on the right-hand side that's interesting for students to watch. This is, again, that example of that real-world application that students are seeing. Now when I'm ready to move on to the next mission, I'll click the Next Activity button. Now for mission number 10. So it says, a little trickier. You've been tasked to retrieve another order. This time, however, the pod with the merchandise isn't as accessible as before. By the way, this is the pop-up notification that I was talking about. So I haven't done this puzzle before, which is why you're seeing this pop-up notification right now. So that's what I was talking about. When you come to a new puzzle, this is what you will see. So I'll go ahead and click the next button. And it says, don't forget to make the robot lower the pod when it arrives at the station. Okay. All right. So the pod that we're looking for, you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a pod that has the item on top. So it looks like we're looking for some headphones. And so that is going to be the pod that we are trying to go to. So first, what we will want to do is we will want to make our way over to that to those headphones. So I know that the first step I need to do is I need to move forward. So I'm going to drive one step, and I'm going to want to drive forward. Now it looks like I'm going to probably want to drive forward twice to actually make it to that pod there. Let's say that I can't figure out the problem that I made in my code. I'm really stuck. As the teacher, you have the ability to look for hints. So if I want to look for a hint, I can. It says, can you program the drive unit to deliver to the correct pod in the right amount of time? I can walk through these tips. Another thing I can do is if I click on this drop-down menu, I can open the solution. So that's really helpful for you as the teacher to be able to figure out the solution. So if you're stuck, like let's say I am with this puzzle, I can open the solution and it'll tell me what I need to adjust with my code. So it says, are you sure you are about to load a sample solution for this mission? Your current program will not be saved. So I can press OK, and it will tell me the correct code here. So now that I see the solution, what I can do is I can go ahead and press the Run Simulation button to get the correct code. And you'll notice that there's probably several different ways that I can solve this puzzle, and that's great. That's something that I really like to teach students, is that sometimes there's multiple different solutions that they can take when they're trying to solve a problem or solve a coding puzzle. So now you'll see we've successfully completed the simulation. So that can be helpful again for you as the teacher. It's nice that CoderZ does have the ability for you to unlock the solution, so that way you can just immediately see the solution when you're helping students out. It can just be a really helpful time-saving tip for you as the teacher, or if you're somebody who's not quite as comfortable with programming or coding yet, it's nice that you do have the ability to unlock that solution so that you can also learn alongside students. Now we'll go back to the Learning Center, and we're going to just take a look at the final level here. We'll go back to the Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge. In Level 3, students will carry over their knowledge from Levels 1 and 2 while exploring lists, iterating over a list, variables, route selection, and even developing skills like multitasking by controlling multiple Amazon robots at the same time. We'll click on Level 3. We'll click on Mission 15. And take a look at this one. So it says, welcome to Level 3 of the Amazon Fulfillment Center training. Next, your goals in this level of the training program are to code efficient routes while controlling multiple robots, which are known as fleets. I'll press next again. Let's start off with an easy one. In this mission, the robot is already underneath the pod that needs to be delivered. Deliver the pod to the station ASAP. Now, I just wanted to show you what this puzzle looks like The puzzles, you'll notice, have progressively started to get more and more challenging, and that's what's really cool about this challenge. Is in the beginning it starts off with the basics. Our very first program only incorporated dragging and dropping one coding block, and now this code will start to get much more challenging. So that's what's really neat about these puzzles, is that even if it starts off really easy for certain students or starts off just right for students, students will all progress to become more and more comfortable with the basics of computer science. So in this video, I just showed you how I recommend teaching the CoderZ Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge. As you can tell, I think that this coding puzzle, these series of coding puzzles are so cool. I think they have such great real-world application for students. It's a great example of really bringing that authenticity and that 21st century learning into the classroom. The CoderZ Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge is great if you teach after school enrichment classes, if you have a computer science club, or if you're a coding and STEM teacher like myself. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of this CoderZ Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge. I think it is just such a great back-to-school activity that you can do with your students. It's perfect to ignite that spark and interest in students around computer science and coding and robotics education. Be sure to bookmark this video so that you can have full support when you're doing the Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge with your students. You can come back and reference this video so you feel like you have support every step of the way. Thank you so much for watching today's video all about the CoderZ Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge. Be sure to click the link in the video description down below to register and sign up for free.